Hello and welcome back to Absolute BSS, the Casualpetitive podcast about Bandai Namco's Battle Spirit Saga. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron,
And I'm your other host, Eric.
and we've got some really cool, exciting spoilers for the next color being introduced into the game with the fifth starter deck, Verdant Wings, and it is green. And it's very, very cool. I'm personally super excited about it. I know Eric is too. Green's my favorite color
Absolutely.
anyway, but these,
Oh, same. Yeah.
yeah, these, oh man, these cards look so cool and so fun. We do have a
Yeah.
couple of housekeeping things to take care of right at the top.
Yeah.
So we're
So
gonna do
I'll
that.
just get into that. Yeah. So, yeah, we've made some mistakes with how we've talked about, well, I've made some mistakes with how I've talked about cards. One thing I want to bring up first, actually, is in the very last episode where I was talking about the card Angel Throne. I think it like brings back magic cards from your trash that are four or lower. Let me just make sure that that's what that does, because I may be misspeaking
All
once
right,
again.
let me
But
let me throw that up on the video as well. Oh, did I lose you?
oh no, I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry,
No, you're
pausing the
good.
recording there.
You're
All
good.
right, I just really didn't want to misspeak again. I should have had it pulled up. Angel Throne, Angel Throne. Do you have Angel Throne pulled up?
I do.
Okay, you want to read that really quick?
Yes. So Angel Throne, 5 cost, 2 yellow reductions, and Angel Spirit at level 1, 3k, level 2, 4k, level 3, 5k for 1, 2, and 3, respectively. When summoned at level 1, 2, and 3, it reads select a yellow magic card that costs 4 or fewer from your trash and return it to your hand.
Yeah, so last time we were talking about bringing back like
We
absolute
were.
ice shields and stuff, and I was looking at that card later and I was like, "Oh crap, this is
Oops.
yeah, oops." Definitely I think that card's still good, but it
Yes,
maybe doesn't deserve the spot on my list that I thought it did because I misread it. But
that's fair.
um the other correction I wanted to make, and I think this became abundantly clear um as I was looking at the new green cards, is that, and apparently I wasn't the only one. This is a common misconception. Really glad I didn't do this at like a tournament or something, but I
Right.
totally misunderstood Awaken. So I thought that the Awaken ability allowed you to flash in the spirit from your hand and then move cores around to it. It does not do that. The spirit has to already be on the table, and then at
Yes.
flash speed, you can move cores onto it. So there's still a little bit of, combat tricks. There's like combat tricks you can do with it, but it's not a surprise. Like the
Right.
opponent can see that you might do that.
Yes. Which we thought, wow, that's really powerful and really broken, especially for red, which is already aggressive enough. You can like load up your big guys, let them die, and then flash in some creatures. Wouldn't that be neat? Which is a great segue into
Oh
green.
yeah. Oh yeah. Green is gonna do what I wanted Awaken to do. So
Yes. So, just very quickly, we'll start with that new keyword because as we talk through the spoiled cards that have been revealed for the fifth starter deck, you're going to see some synergies being built around cores in your reserve so that you can later use them for the new keyword, Swift. So, Swift can activate during that flash window, and Swift reads you may summon this card from your hand by using cores from your reserve to pay its cost and place cores onto it. So, as where Flash Awaken is in that same flash window, you can move cores around your creatures uh, in tricky different ways. This is in that flash window. This is what we originally thought. You can flash in a creature for the first time if it has Swift.
yes.
So that's very, very cool. I think that's really neat, especially with the way that the game sits right now with the 4 colors. Uh, Being able to have some hidden information in your hand and trick your opponent into swinging when they shouldn't is how I've won a lot of my games that I've played so far. So pairing that with a color that wants to do that seems like a no-brainer for me. I'm all in on green, and I'm really excited to talk through some of these cards in the starter deck today.
Yeah, I'm super excited for Swift, and just what green is doing as a whole just looks so interesting to me. And you know, that red deck I was building that relied on White Hole Dragon to be able to flash in,
Yeah.
um, and since White Hole Dragon cannot do that, as it turns out, um, I could very easily see myself just slotting in like a single green creature with Swift, even though I don't get the cost reduction, like just as like a cheeky little surprise. Like
Yep.
you're not going to see this coming. I mean, you do have to telegraph it a little bit because you have to pay for it from your reserve. You can't move cores around from your spirits.
Right.
Um,
But if
so,
you have to block with a spirit, and that spirit is destroyed, most of the time those cores are going back into your reserve anyway. So yeah, I
mm.
think green red surprise aggro could really happen.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're saying like you swing with a red creature, they block, it dies, and they're like, "Ha, I've stopped you," and then you're like, "Not quite."
Yep, and then you
And then,
drop a little guy named Leaf Wolf.
should we start with Leaf Wolf? Do you want to talk
I
about Leaf
think
Wolf?
we should start with Leaf Wolf. Just
Okay.
because Leaf Wolf is that first card at the lowest cost that shows you Swift for the first time. And there's a lot of
Hmm.
interesting information on this card. So if you haven't already, if you listen to the audio only version of this, we do try to do a good job at reading the whole card and giving you all the traits and stuff like that. But we do have a YouTube video companion to the podcast. You can listen to it on YouTube. That's how I used to ingest all of my podcasts. I would just put the video on in the background while I was doing something, and switch over to it occasionally. So if that's how you want to get this information, just go to youtube.com and search up Absolute BSS Pod, and you'll find us. So on the
Yeah, there's
screen,
also
oh yeah,
just a little plug. There's also a bonus video I added recently of me unboxing a Dawn of History booster box.
that's
So if you want to
right.
watch that, check it out.
Yeah. Slight spoiler here. This guy opens a couple of Absolute BSS polls. So yeah, you'll have to check
Pretty.
that out. And I think we want to put up some gameplay videos once we can get back onto the TTS mod. I would like to just build this green starter deck and do a gameplay video with that
Yeah, we should definitely do that. I want to try these cards out.
for
So I
sure.
agree.
So yeah, so be on the lookout for that. Go subscribe to the YouTube if you want to see some more kind of fun videos like that, and write into us. Email us what else you would like to see on the YouTube version of this, or if you're just content with listening to us talk, that's cool too. We appreciate you being here in whatever form that you are checking out Absolute BSS in. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's start with the first of, it looks like, quick math, 20 cards. No, 16 cards. Oh my gosh. 16 cards in the starter deck that we got to go through. So we're going to
Okay.
start with Leaf Wolf. This is a 2-cost green spirit. It has the Blade Beast trait, or that's its spirit type. Common rarity.
That's new, right? Blade Beast is
Yes,
new.
Blade Beast is new. Um, and I really like the looks of these. So Leaf
Yeah.
Wolf is, yeah, 2 cost, can be reduced by 1, has 1 green symbol in the bottom right. At level 1 with 1 core, it has 2000 BP. At level 2 for 4 cores, it's 3k. And at level 3 for 5 cores, it's only 4k. But here's why. Leaf Wolf has Flash. So Flash, like we said earlier, we'll read it again. I'm sorry, has Swift, and it's in that Flash window. You may summon this card from your hand by using cores from your reserve to pay its cost and place cores onto it. So for Leaf Wolf, if you have a green in play already, you can flash this in for 2 cores, 1 to pay the cost and 1 to put a core on it and have it sit there with 2k. So that's kind of what green looks like it wants to do.
Yeah. I will admit, as a guy who loves the numbers,
Right.
I'm not a fan of the numbers on this card, but I don't. It's pretty obvious to me that this card is not about the numbers. It's about the surprise.
Yep, it's about getting it in, and especially as someone who plays yellow a lot, you might hear a train in the background. As someone who plays yellow a
The
lot,
Leaf Wolf train. Woo
Leaf Wolf
woo.
train, hype train. Um, as someone who likes playing 2-cost cards, especially, I am very used to little stat lines and little numbers, but I like going wide. And I might explore yellow green. I might explore a
Ooh,
John Deere deck, you know?
John Deere.
Because
Yeah,
there's a
Leaf.
couple of cool 2 costs in here, and even some
Ooh,
threes.
yeah, Leaf Wolf could slot into that already existing like really aggressive yellow deck.
Exactly. You know, you can go pretty wide with Leaf Wolf. You can get some support with some of the yellow nexuses and just some of the yellow spirits in general. Um, yeah, I think having that utility in a yellow deck helps you survive some of those board wipes. Like I would just hold on to my green Swift cards in
Hmm.
case I'm running up against like a Fenrir or Burning Charge, stuff like that. And then when they think that they're about to knock me out because they took away all my little 2 costs, I can bring in a couple more block and then flood the board next turn with more 2 costs and swing in for the win. Yellow green to me and green red aggro. I've never used to be an aggro player in other games, but it's just fun. It's so fun to put these little like woodland animals and flying turtles and leaf wolves out into the field and just let them go at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited to play with this card and all of the other Swift cards, which how many Swift cards are there exactly
I'm
that we're
looking
seeing?
to count. I see I see 2 creatures with Swift, and then the big boss guy mentions Swift.
Okay. So we might have to wait for the next set to come out to see a little bit more
Yes.
Swift.
Which is cool. I like that they introduce it kind of staggered, just so you can get kind of used to that timing window, because especially with Awaken, um, those are 2 very different interactions, right, on the board. So,
Hmm.
yeah, kind of dipping your toe into the Swift pool sounds like a good use of our time. Yeah,
Definitely.
you want to grab the next one?
Yeah, the other Swift creature or the other Swift spirit.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Okay. Viscount Minoba. It's a prey bird. There's a couple prey birds in here. So I guess that's going to be a new archetype.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe the big boss
it's
is a prey bird.
oh yeah, yeah. So Viscount Minoba is a 4 cost spirit prey bird, 2 reduction symbols on there. Um, and it's at level 1 for 1 core, it's 2K, and at level 2 for 3 cores, it's 4K. And it just has Swift. So another Swift creature to add to your aggro decks.
Mm-hmm. And again, in the right circumstances, with a couple of greens on the board, that means you can flash window this in for a total of 3 cores. 2 for the cost, 1 to keep it alive. But honestly, for that extra couple of cores, dropping a 4K can maybe end a battle phase.
Yeah, I mean, if you are like, if you're getting the full 2 cost reduction and you're dropping this for 2, like an additional 3 cores is really not that unheard of.
Right. And yeah, I again, we haven't played with green yet. These are kind of recently spoiled. I definitely want to load these into the TTS mod to check it out. But it's just versatility, right? It shuts down the swing.
Hmm.
It makes you. It's a bluff, and I think that's really cool, especially in a physical card game. You know, where I always compared the first 4 colors anyway. Like no matter what matchup, the game kind of plays like a game of chicken. Um, and so you're kind of determining by body language, by as little information as you actually do have. You're trying to figure out when you can swing in for the final hit. And with
Yeah.
green, you never truly know.
Yep.
Even
I mean,
one
especially
bird can just stop it.
the thing is, if you're playing against mono green or you've already seen some green, you know that you need to be aware of it. But what I'm so excited about Swift, like I said earlier, is just like you slot one of these into a deck where it's kind of a weird, like nobody would expect you to have this in there. Maybe you
Right.
even just do like like a cheeky little one of as just like a
Oh yeah.
like you
Especially
could
the
like
little guys like Leaf Wolf, you know?
oh yeah, imagine like you're in this like intense standstill with your opponent and you're playing mono white or so they think and
Mm-hmm.
then you've just been sitting there looking at each other for like 6 or 7 turns, like playing spirits and passing, and then you take the swing, you start swinging your stuff in, and then in their mind they're like, if I can just block everything here, then the next turn all of their stuff is exhausted and the game is over.
Yep.
And so they are playing with that mindset, and then look what happens. You pull out a leaf wolf or two out of your hand and you swing in for the win.
That's
um,
right.
I can't think of a more exciting thing to do than that
Yeah,
in Battle Spirit Saga.
I agree. Especially just looking at just the starter deck support. I think that's
Hmm.
what the point is. You know, it's splashing in green for now until set 2 comes
Hmm.
out. And that's exactly how I would use it. You splash it in for those surprise gotcha moments. Like I'm specifically targeting just the flash cards.
Yeah,
And for now. And I
yeah.
think that's super fun. I think that's exciting, and that's how I'm already playing the game.
Do you want to talk about, since this is the last card that mentions Swift, do you want to talk about the big dude, or should we save him for the end?
Let's talk about the big dude,
Okay, go for it.
because I think this will help, everyone else kind of wrap their minds around um, the rest of what this green starter deck at the very least wants to do. Because this is
Hmm.
pretty neat. I like this too, because this card also kind of hints at what some of the other green spirits can do, and I think it's really powerful.
Yeah.
So the big bad of the green starter deck, great name by the way, is Rooster Zodiac Emperor Gale Phoenix.
You can tell that this card was probably named like exactly this in Japanese, and they
Yes,
just did a direct translation.
direct translation, and I love that. It's
Yeah.
so charming, really cool mechanical rooster phoenix with some green and blue plumage, some silver blades coming out of it, and it just looks like a Gundam peacock. It's awesome. So Rooster Zodiac Emperor Gale Phoenix, or RZEGP, is an 8 cost
Rezegapa.
Rezegp. I like it. Hashtag Rezegp. It's 8 cost. It can be reduced by 4. It's a prey bird spirit, just like the last one we talked about. At level 1 for 1 core, it has 6k BP. Pretty great. Level 2 for 3 cores, 8k. Level 3 for 6 cores, 11k. Kind of expensive in relation to the other ones, but you get its abilities. You get the big ability at level 2 or level 3. So its first ability listed at level 1, 2, and 3 during either attack step. When this spirit or one of your spirits with Swift destroys one of your opponent's spirits via comparing BP, select one of your opponent's spirits and exhaust it. So not only can you flash in something Swift after they blocked with their big guys, if that Swift can overpower a little guy, you get to exhaust another little guy. You get to take out the chump blockers, or you can, if they kept big ones back and they try to chump block you, you can exhaust one of the big ones and push another attack through. And so the second ability on this card at level 2 or 3, so with 3 cores up to 6, when this spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits and exhaust it. So,
So there's a lot of exhausting going on here.
yes, and that is huge. There's not a lot you can do about that without having answers in your magic at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you can build
Yeah,
a
I
beautiful
think
board all you want, but then green can just swift in and they can exhaust your opponent's creatures, and then you can just swing in out of nowhere. So I think if you pair green with some good draw and some little cheap chump blockers, again, green yellow, I think you can just come out of nowhere with the Rooster Zodiac Emperor Gale Phoenix and a couple of Leaf Wolves, and you just finish the game.
Yeah. I mean, this card to me, with this mechanic in the green card pool, if green becomes really popular, I think cards, even like, I think this also helps with Swift, not just the exhaustion abilities, but cards like Suppression and Regain become really,
Yes,
really good.
really
They're,
good.
I mean, they're already pretty good, but I think they become almost like must-haves. Like
Yes, almost essential, I was going to say.
you, Yeah, you might play suppression outside of white, and I think people might already do that a little bit, but maybe just
Yeah,
as like a cheeky one of or something. But you do like you might want to play suppression as if it's like a burning force or something, or an absolute ice shield. It's just
yeah.
like, oh, it's
Suppression
4 of into
is
my deck.
Yeah, suppression's definitely going to become a staple in the sideboard
Hmm.
for big events once green starts to get into the fold here. So those are the three cards that mention Swift, that have the Swift keyword, or directly work with Swift. So I'm gonna go over to this. Or do you wanna read the Emerald Greatbird Aldeed?
Sure. Yeah. So that's a 5 cost, 3 reduction symbol, Prey Bird Spirit. At 1 core, it's at 4K, and then at 3 cores, it's level 2 at 6K, and pretty decent. I mean, 1 core for 4K is pretty decent.
Yeah.
Um, at level 1 and 2, it has a when summoned ability. Select one of your opponent's spirits and exhaust it. So again, we have some more of this exhaustion going on.
Yep.
At level 2, when it attacks, place a core from the void into your reserve. I
That
love this.
that is huge.
Yeah, that's just straight ramp.
Yes, and there's really not a ton of downsides to bringing this guy in as soon as you can. Like,
Hmm.
especially with the right setup, like a couple of small green creatures on your turn, because it doesn't have the Swift keyword. Remember that. But
Yeah.
you can bring it in, exhaust something, and depending on the deck you're playing, that might let you get a hit onto their life. So you swing in, and you don't even have to like make contact, but if you, as long as you attack with it at level 3, which again isn't super hard to do, you get to ramp, put a core from the void into your reserve.
Yeah.
And
I'm
again,
I,
it just makes me lean towards yellow green. Like, having this guy come in after a couple of your yellows got destroyed with Blessed Cathedral on the field, you're ramping huge.
so it's at 6K at level 2. So if they do have like a 7K blocker, to your point, you try to swing with it the same turn you play it. You exhaust that blocker.
Yep.
Um, to your point too, like maybe it doesn't matter if you make contact, but you just swing in, and
Yep.
now you're a turn closer to playing your Rooster Zodiac Emperor Gale Phoenix Rizigaba. So
Exactly. Resigip.
Rizigip.
And what's cool about that is, when the spirit attacks, place a core from the void into your reserve. That tutors in the Swift creatures. There aren't a lot of them, but with just that one core, I mean, you pay for the Leaf Wolf. You can't put a core on it to keep it alive with just the one, but you can pay for the Leaf Wolf. In that moment, like, you attack, you place the core from the void into your reserve, and then the flash window opens, right, for your opponent,
Ooh.
and then
Okay.
you get one, and you could bring the Leaf Wolf in. Or
Okay.
you, yeah, like, if your Great Bird dies, you have at least a core on your Great Bird. Well, if it's level 2 and it's attacking, you have a few on it, and then you
Hmm.
definitely flash in that Leaf Wolf on another attack or something like that. So, again, it's good utility, and it definitely shakes up the quote unquote meta that we are seeing emerge from the first 4 colors here.
Yeah. I dig this card. I dig a lot of these new abilities in that they're all doing stuff with, like, there's nothing like crazy new in here. Like there's some stuff in here that I think we maybe could have predicted would come at some point.
Right.
So it's kind of nice that it's like just still playing with the core mechanisms of the game, but just like changing things a little bit, giving us some like spicy new fun ways to enjoy.
Yeah. And just interact with the board itself. And again, it's just the more little hidden information you get, the more ramp you get. Those are core parts of the game. So you pair that with another color, and this feels really good as a splash color, depending on what you
Yeah.
want to do. I feel like it works with aggro, it works with ramp, and it works with like control decks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, where do
Do,
we want to move next?
do we want to? So there's, I think, 3 spirits that are just textless. Do you want to just like knock out all 3 at once?
Yeah, let's go with that, and then we'll get into the more interesting meat and potato stuff.
Okay.
So we'll start with the lowest to highest. So this one is Ant-Man Soldier. It is a 2-cost with 1 reduction Carapace spirit type. At level 1 for 1 core, it has 3,000. At level 2 for 2 cores, it has 4,000. So pretty solid stat line there. Easy to just throw out on turn 1, turn 2, and you have like kind of a buff guy. That's really all I see for him, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super excited about that card, but
No, but you can.
It is a 2-cost though, so
Yeah, works in that yellow 2 cost, gets you a green reduction on the field for your Swift.
yeah, and all of these cards, Spring of Norn. So.
Exactly. Yeah, when I pulled this up, the first thing I did was look at the textless ones, actually, because I'm broken, because I'm a freak.
Yeah, and then we've got Leafbeak Toucan.
I love this art.
Yeah, it's so we got the Fruit Loops mascot, but he's all it's like oops, all green Fruit Loops.
What a dream.
That might not to do the podcast cliche, but maybe that's the name of the episode.
Oops, all green Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
I like it.
So 3 cost, 2 reduction, Prey Bird, 1 core at level 1 for 3k, 3 cores at level 2 for 6k. I think
solid
it's a decent little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next one, if you want to cover this one, I'm pretty into this one. I think this one could see some play.
Yes, I love this next guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Forest Quillbeast Porcupine, and I said it weird because it is Porcu-Pine. So it's different than a real world porcupine. This is a porcupine.
Yes. This is not a porcupine. It's not a porcupine or a porcupine it's a porcupine.
Yes. Chris Porcupine. 4 cost, 2 reduction. This is another Blade Beast. Love these guys. It's a textless spirit. Level 1, 5k for 1 core. Level 2, 7k for 3 core.
That's pretty playable, I think.
That's a solid stat line. Especially, 2 reduction on the field, 3 cores total. You bring in a 5k. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. And you swing in with this, it dies, and then you have cores to flash in your stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think it really plays well with the deck.
It's not a bad turn, player 2, turn 1 drop either. You've got those 5 cores, just put it out of 5k. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's not bad in your opening hand. And yeah, those are the textless ones.
All right. Let's move on back into the now that we got those out of the way, what else? What do you want to cover next?
We've got a couple more spirits. I think we should just finish those out.
Okay.
From lowest to highest, looks like we have 4 more to talk about. So you want to start with Caprahorn, another just beautiful art card. I love this.
Yeah. So Caprahorn is a 1 cost, 1 reduction wild soul. So he is some kind of deer or elk, but he has these what would you call this? It's like there's a word for this.
They look like imagine a cornucopia, like a Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
they're like hollowed out horns, right? It looks like a like the thing that the orcs use in Lord of the Rings. There's like,
yeah, it's like one of those old timey music players, like a.
Oh yeah, it does. It looks like a ventrola, like a gramophone.
I think that's the word
Victrola.
I was looking for. Yeah, he's cool looking. I dig him. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but Forest Quillbeast Porcupine,
yes,
is adorable. I do like him.
He's adorable, and he's got some Super Saiyan Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
kind of like quills on the top of his forehead.
But this card, 1 cost, 1 reduction. For 1 core at level 1, it's a 1k, and for 3 cores at level 2, it's a 3k. And at both level 1 and level 2, during your opponent's attack step, at the start of the step, if this spirit has a soul core on it, place a core from your trash into your reserve. So once again, helping you get those flash swift spirits out during your opponent's attack step in this case.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
He doesn't have to do anything. He just is there. So you bring him in,
Yeah.
you put the Soul Core on him, and then as soon as your opponent starts their attack step on their next turn, you get a resource back that you can use during that turn. That's such great value. And like one cost with one reduction, that's just only good. Capricorn is like one of those, you know, 3 or 4s that or 4 copies that you're going to have in your green deck just because of he's the only one in this starter deck too that references the Soul Core. So like that's cool. It's like yellow, right? Yellow, there's like only a couple of things that even care about the Soul Core. So I
Yeah,
like
so you can
those
move it around
cards.
pretty freely, right?
Yeah, like
So
it's a no-brainer to pop a Soul Core on this guy when most of the time you're not even worrying about it. I really like that uh, in a card set because I
yeah.
play
I
yellow now anyway.
I think I need to try this guy out to see what I think about him. I could see I think on the surface I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna be like I think for now with a limited card pool of green, like I might play him just because like I don't have that much if I'm playing mono green.
Right.
But I'm just kind of like, I don't know. But it might be one of those cards that maybe when I play with it, I'm like, oh, holy crap, this card is really good.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I think he's also good for splashing in, again, splashing into another color that doesn't care about the Soul Core either. Because it gets you that
Mm,
reduction symbol for your Leaf Wolf or your Viscant Minoba.
yeah, could be good.
He's cool. And it's a cool name, Capricorn. I like it.
What do you want to cover next?
The next one would be Matingol.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know how to pronounce that, but this thing is really cool, I think. My first impressions of this card is
It's
cool.
like it reminds me of a little bit of Mushroom Man from Keyforge.
Yeah. I like creatures that are made out of fungus. Like this thing's pretty neat. So,
You're a fungi lover.
yeah, I am a
You
fun
dig it.
guy.
Hell
Madangol
yeah.
is a 3-cost plant folk spirit that can be reduced by 1. At level 1 for 1 core, it's 1,000. Level 2 for 2 cores, it's 3,000. Level 3 for 5 cores is 5k. Uh, Typically, you're not going to make this thing level 3. It has a level 1, 2, and 3 when summoned ability that says you may exhaust this spirit to place a core from the void onto it. So,
Mm,
to me, you know, there's a trade there, right? You're bringing in a card that can't block, but you're ramping. And that's not bad. And then you could immediately move that new core and whatever core was already on it off of it to bring something else in. But like that's neat. You get another core just
so
for
hear me
dropping a
out.
guy. Yeah.
Uh, Deadly Balance, I think, could be very good with
Oh,
this.
I agree. Ooh, yeah, we haven't talked about maybe green splash and some purple, but you're right.
Yeah.
You drop him in, he's exhausted anyway, gets you that extra core, you bomb him.
Yeah, you're just poor Mattingall, or however you say his name.
He'll reproduce. Fungus is very durable, you know?
Yeah.
If The Last of Us taught me anything, it's that, you know, cordyceps are going to ruin us all.
I think again this is another card where it could be super good and I just don't know. Like I think on the surface I'm like, I don't know, like the stats aren't great and the fact you have to exhaust it to do this feels kind of bad, but I mean maybe cores like the way that costs work in this game, like a single core can do quite a lot.
I would slot this into my yellow low cost deck because I'd bring him in,
Yeah.
exhaust him, get the core, destroy him immediately, bring in 2 level 2s.
That could be pretty good. Um
Yeah.
yeah, I'm interested to play around with this guy, see
Yeah,
how he goes,
I
see
agree.
what he does.
I think he's definitely got some potential to do some fun stuff. Your Deadly Balance, yeah, I'm still thinking about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's a very it basically you get to ramp and then you just have like an immediate like no-brainer choice for Deadly Balance. So
Yep.
um I mean that's kind of a costly turn, but
Yeah.
next turn you're set up pretty well.
Even mid
But
game though, top decking Matt and goal with, you know, Deadly Balance. That can
Yeah,
really disrupt some board state, some synergy there.
definitely.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm optimistic about that guy.
Yeah, I think him and Capricorn, I'm a little on the fence on, but I could easily see myself being swayed to play those if during play testing I find a good slot for either of them.
Yeah,
Viridian Dragon Rider Grun is the next guy.
this guy looks
Uh,
so cool.
I think he looks awesome. I hope that we get some cool, like, I know he's in the starter deck, so maybe not, but I could see us getting some cool alt arts or something for him. Like, he looks
Yeah,
awesome.
or other Carapites.
Yeah.
Because
And
yeah, I'm starting to like them.
the Carapites, I'm assuming it's a play on the word like carapace,
Yeah,
like, because they're kind of like insects, but I guess also like crab people.
yeah, like they're kind of
Um,
like beetle men, like
yeah, they
Beetleborgs
kind
a
of,
little bit.
yeah, I was gonna say Beetleborgs. Yeah,
Yeah,
they kind of me of Beetleborgs.
which is
Um,
cool as hell.
he's a 5 cost 2 reduction Carapite Spirit, and at level 1 for 1 core, he's at 4K. So I like that stat
Yeah,
line
not
already.
bad, not bad at all.
Level 2 for 3 cores, he's at 5K. And level 3 for 5 cores, he's at 7K. Not as big of a fan of those, but
Right.
he has an ability that's always active, which is when he's destroyed by an opponent, place 2 cores from the void into your reserve.
That's disgusting. He's cheaper elephant.
Yeah, a cheaper elephant.
You
Yeah,
know, you don't get all three, you
yeah.
don't get the draw, but like you still get 2 cores. That's nuts.
2 cores. I mean, you can play this dude for 3 and then get 2. I mean, once again, not to say that all of these cards are better if you just sacrifice them to Deadly Balance, but I
Right.
mean, maybe like once you've used him a little bit, or no, no, sorry, I'm about to misspeak. It needs to be destroyed by opponent. My bad. Um,
Oh, good call. Because I was thinking the
yeah,
same thing. I'm like, yeah, drop him, kill him, reap the
yeah.
rewards. Yeah, there's a very clear distinction there when destroyed by opponent. But
You
what
know,
that does is it shifts your mindset into you either have a very good blocker that they don't want to kill, or you can swing
mhm,
in with him and they don't want to block.
yep. I still think that's a really good ability, but it's not even his only ability.
That's
So
right.
at level 2 and 3, while this spirit attacks, when the battle ends, you may place 2 cores from this spirit into your reserve to select one of your spirits. It gains 3,000 BP during this turn.
That's so sick. So again,
Yeah.
you attack. They don't want to block him. They don't want to give you ramp cores. But then as soon as he's done, you just, take a couple cores off of him, put him on another guy, and send that guy into battle.
Yep. And very important here, you don't want to take all of his cores off because then you don't get the benefit.
Right.
So, but I think I think he's pretty good. Like,
Yeah. Especially in
I
the
think,
beginning of his cycle into this set, that's gonna make some very interesting decision space and like points of play
yeah,
in this game that I think there's definitely room for, and I'm excited to see this guy interact with
he's a flame
all the
fish kind of
colors.
card, right?
Yeah,
Like people
exactly.
people swing with flame fish, and your opponent doesn't want to block because it's like, if I block, then this bad thing could happen.
Right.
But there's only so long you can really do that before you have to be like, okay, I have to block this. Like,
Yes. And at a
um,
5 cost, this is coming in a little later in the game than Flamefish would.
yeah,
Um, but I think that lends itself to these abilities because it's like other colors for 5 cost 2 reduction, you're bringing in stronger stuff. Hell, for 5 cost 3 reduction, you can bring in Phobos Dragon with a better stat line. So
yeah,
you match this guy up against them. Of course, they can cover it. That's kind of the point. But
yeah.
then your opponent has to decide if they want to or not.
Yeah. I think the ideal scenario for this guy is that your opponent can kill it pretty easily,
Hmm.
but it's just like, do they want to?
Yes, I love it. You're right. It's just like it's a good flamefish.
Yeah. Talk about the next card. I am actually really excited about this card.
Yeah, this guy looks cool and has some really good numbers and some cool abilities. This is the last spirit that we're going to talk about, the rest of the cards in this deck are Magic or Nexus. This is a 6-cost Blade Beast called Explosive Charger Brandboar. It can be reduced by 2. At level 1, for 1 core, it has 5,000 BP. At level 2, for 4 cores, it goes up to 9,000. So, arguably a little steep, but those numbers are good. 9K for something that's not a big boss is awesome. And then
I could see myself bumping this up to 9K the next turn after I've had a chance to get my cores back out of the trash from playing it.
Absolutely. I agree. So, yes, the abilities here at level 1 and 2. When during your attack step, when one of your spirits is summoned, this spirit gains 2,000 BP during this turn. So, this goes to Swift. When you Swift in a card during that flash window, you just buff this guy up. And if he's already at level 2, that extra 2,000 BP for that turn, he goes up to 11K. If you can Swift in another one, he's at 13K. Because that's how this works. When one of your opponent or when one of your spirits is summoned, this spirit gains 2,000 BP during this turn. That's crazy. So, in this scenario, his level 2, another ability at level 2, while this spirit attacks or blocks, refresh this spirit when it destroys one of your opponent's spirits via comparing BP. That's awesome.
Yep, just keeps on swinging.
Man, green-white, just big buff and some blank, like Forest Quill Beast. I'm saying green-white can be really, really fun because you just get these huge spirits that can refresh themselves, or you can throw in suppression and have them block while they're suppressed. And that triggers this guy's ability. While this spirit attacks or blocks at level 2, refresh it when it destroys one of your opponent's spirits via comparing BP. That's so good.
Yep, and also the fact that you can Swift in at flash speed means that it gaining 2,000 BP. And remember, this is during the turn, so not just for the battle that it's in. So it can like keep going. So you swing in with a 9K. They block with a 10 or 11K, and they think like, oh, I'm safe. Then you flash in a leaf wolf, maybe like 2 leaf wolves or something. Like, I don't know. And you just like pump this thing to the moon, and it's just like, oh shit.
Yep, you've got.
I just lost my god beast to this, and now it's gonna refresh.
Exactly. So you, as a green player, you got to keep this guy alive. As playing against green, you have to kill this thing as quickly as possible, because this thing can ruin a whole board.
Oh yeah.
On either turn.
I almost wish that this card was like the cover card for the set, so we can have foils of it.
I agree. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's a cool card.
Like, this card is, in my opinion, just as viable and good as the big bad, the Rooster Zodiac.
When I first saw these, I just kind of glanced at them. I haven't even actually looked at the Nexuses that we're about to talk about, or the Magic, but when I first glanced at the spirits, I actually felt like I like this guy better than the Rooster. Like, I think it's, for like a big bad for green, it just does so much of what green wants to do. It just, man, feels really good.
Yep. I think Blade Beast and Machine Beast, or Blade Beast Fable Beast deck, is something I'm going to really want to build around this Charger specifically. I think green-white is a perfect home for this card. And then you can also put in, where was it? Who's the guy that shoot. Who's the guy? Dang it, we were just talking about this guy. Well, I mean, maybe Viridian Dragon Rider. I forget. I totally forget. But yeah, it just works with white. It works with the suppression stuff. It's just a big beast. Oh yeah, Viridian Dragon Rider's already like the elephant. So I think you slot that into white too, and a couple Spring of Norns and your Forest Quillbeast Porcupine, and man, I think green-white is viable too. Like, green is going to fit with all these other 4 colors, and that's just good game design, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like to see that we're getting a new color, and it feels like it can. There's ways for it to slot into. I mean, the Mattingale guy that I was talking about with Deadly Balance, I
Yep.
could see myself playing like that as like a green splash into my purple deck.
Yeah.
Like it only costs 3. Like I could just do that without any other green cards.
Yeah.
And
And
could
purple
maybe even work.
flash cards are mean anyway. So like
Mm-hmm.
if you're dumping cores from the void into the reserve, or off of your creatures, that's what purple wants to do anyway. And then you can just start chaining these really nasty, devastating effects, and then flood in some flash, and take the game. I don't know. There's this
Absolutely.
opens up deck building so wide just from the starter deck cards. Like imagine the rest of what green is going to do in set 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. And also it looks like a lot of, so I'm very excited about Gundam cards.
Yeah.
And it looks like we are getting, I know that the first Gundam card that we've seen so far has been green. So
Yes.
if all of the Gundam cards are green, I don't think that would happen. I imagine some of them probably have to be white.
Yeah.
But if they're all green or mostly green, like that's just going to make me even more excited. Like,
Yeah. Oh man, it's so sick. Well, we've got
all right.
5 more cards to talk about. 2 of them are Nexuses. I think we should just start with those.
Okay.
You want to take Airborne Crag?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So it's a 3-cost Nexus with 1 reduction symbol. And at level 1 for 0 core, it's level 1 for 0 cores and level 2 for 2 cores. So at both level 1 and level 2, during either attack step, when one of your spirits is summoned, it gains 2,000 BP during this turn.
Nice.
So a nice little boost allows you to, especially if you're thinking about this, because it's during either attack step. If you're doing this with Swift, you could get like a pretty beefy blocker down at flash speed. During your end step, refresh any of your spirits with a soul core on them. So this is the only other card, I suppose, that references the soul core, but it doesn't even need to be on this card. It could be on your Capricorn.
Right. It could be on any spirit.
Yeah, it could be on, whatever. It would be a funny place to put it would be your Viridian Dragon Rider.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Swing with him, and they don't block, and then at the end of your turn, you're like, all right, he's ready to block. Swing in.
Yeah.
Viridian Dragon Rider's just screaming, somebody hit me! Like, I love it.
I don't know that any of what you just screamed came through your
mic.
Oh,
that's
I think
true.
Your mic was like, let's not scream right now.
Yeah. Viridian Dragon Rider's like, somebody hit me, please. I'm about
it's even
to...
funnier.
Yeah,
it's even funnier that you said it in
the
that voice.
soft, resolved plead, like, please, I don't want to be around anymore. I'm about to blow your mind with Airborne Crag. Are you ready?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm putting this in my yellow deck for 1 card and 1 card only. Air Vata.
Okay. Wait, why? What? Explain.
Okay, so Air Vata is let me pull it up for the video, and just so I make sure that this does work the way that I think it does.
Okay, we can always do corrections next week after people have made their decks and brought them to tournaments.
Yeah, exactly, and then they lose and they blame us.
Yeah, and then we finally get fan mail. Let's just do it.
Let's do it. Let's just do it. Fan mail, hate mail, it's all the same, right?
Yeah. Send us your hate mail.
Yeah. Is that card in the yellow starter deck? It is. Okay, so Air Vata is a 3-cost yellow Fabled Beast spirit with 1 reduction. Level 1, 2k for 1 core. Level 2, 3k for 2 cores. Level 1 and Level 2. When destroyed, you may select a spirit card that costs 2 from your trash and summon it. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, okay.
Airborne Crag says level 1, level 2 during either attack step. When one of your spirits is summoned, it gains 2,000 BP during the turn. So Air Vata is recycling green or yellow level 2 spirits, bringing them in and getting the 2,000
and then they're
BP.
Buffed.
So not only just the Swift keyword, but yeah, if you pull a card from your discard pile too, Airborne Crag is targeting that.
Oh man.
And Royal Potion, I'm pretty sure, doesn't specify colors. So Royal Potion kind of works in a green-yellow deck with some 2-cost too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to mess
You know,
around with this.
you're making me think about one of my favorite cards, which is Beldegor.
Yes.
Because if he gets summoned, he will have this boost
That's
as well.
true.
So,
I think
okay.
Airborne Crag is so versatile.
Yeah,
And I think
first ability doesn't sound like much, but it really has a lot of utility.
Yeah, it certainly does. And then I think, to your point too, with the purple, during your end step, refresh any of your spirits with a red soul core on it. That's good for your Viridian Dragon Guard. It's good for your purples with Curse.
Yeah. You know, this card immediately also combos with Flamefish.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
I'm saying green, yellow with other 2-cost splash spirits, I think is exactly what I'm going to do. Because, Airborne Crag feels so fun for little interactions like that. I'm super pumped to, even if I'm just slotting this and a couple of Swift creatures into my yellow 2-cost deck, that's fun for me. There's so many routes I want to take looking at these green cards. Just from the starter deck, I'm so pumped. Airborne Crag, Fabled Beasts, Blade Beasts. Let's do it. Let's build that deck.
Yeah, I think Airborne Crag could, again, another card I really want to play test with. Because I feel like,
yes.
I mean, you just mentioned like 3 or 4 decks that you can build.
Yeah.
like just with this one card.
I'm
so that's
telling
pretty
you.
exciting.
Yeah, I love it. So
you want to talk about the next one?
Yeah. The other Nexus is Sacred Tree Stump City, which looks like a yellow card, I gotta say.
I love the art on this card.
I do too. It's awesome. It feels like a Minish Cap or like a Dragon Quest town.
So for anyone who doesn't know the other stuff that we do outside of this podcast, I make these little miniature sculptures, and in my mind, I'm like, I want to recreate this.
Dude,
like,
oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. They're amazing.
So cool.
They're amazing. Look up. Am I allowed to say?
Yeah, Tiny Scenes.
Yeah.
So
look up Tiny Scenes.
Tiny.scenes on Instagram, like tiny, the symbol like period or dot scenes, and you'll see it. It's pretty neat.
It's so cool.
I mean, it feels weird saying my own stuff is pretty neat, but
no,
it
is. I agree.
I have them in my home.
I
decorate my home with them.
Yeah,
so.
I also have one. It was a wedding gift from Eric.
Oh yeah.
I know exactly what this looks like and what this reminds me of. Dragon Warrior Monsters or Dragon Quest Monsters on the Game Boy Color back in the day. The original one, and then there was a sequel that had 2 versions. But either way, like the kingdoms in that game were literally built into like great trees, world trees, like Yggdrasil and stuff like that. So that's exactly what this is. Like you're looking at this, and there are like little windows cut into the bark, and like a bunch of houses sitting in the middle of this stump. It's really cool. I'm obsessed with this art.
I'm also imagining like someone like a pterosaur just like stomps on this without even knowing, and they just like destroyed a civilization.
Yeah,
they have no clue.
Yeah, it's very Horton Hears a Who.
Yeah.
But
all right, what does it do?
Yeah, this is a 4-cost. Before we started this, we're like, this probably won't be a long episode. Like, there's only
it's like
16 cards. We're just oh man, I have so much fun talking about card games. It's a 4-cost green Nexus card that can be reduced by 2 at level 1 for 0 cores, level 2 for 3 cores. So it has 2 abilities listed. The first one at level 1 and level 2. During your attack step, the first spirit you control that attacks each turn gains 1,000 BP for each green spirit you control.
Wow.
So that's
a lot of BP.
That's interesting. That could be. And you can also, like, you start your attack, right? And that number looks static. And then your opponent declares a blocker. You flash in another green. That is during your attack step. So that means now that there's another green on here, suddenly there's another 1,000 BP.
Oh, okay. I was actually thinking it was like a non-bow with the Swift, but I guess, yeah, if it's during the whole attack step.
The whole attack step.
Mm.
So really, like, there's a lot of potential there for that flash window, especially if you're putting this in with green and yellow.
Mm.
I'm 2 costs, flood the board. This Sacred Tree Stump City is suddenly turning. And one more
Well,
clarification here: the first spirit you control that attacks gets the buff from
yeah,
each green spirit. So you can attack first with a, let's say, Hippocampo, and you've got 5 green support there. That Hippocampo at level 1 is doing 8k.
that's a big hippocampo.
That's a big Hippocampo. I'm obsessed with the idea of green yellow. And then its other ability at level 2 for 3 cores again. During your opponent's attack step, draw a card when your opponent reduces your life. That's kind of an expensive ability there. But card
Yeah, I'm
draw
not a
is
big fan of
good.
that.
Yeah, that's not great, but that's the only card drawing that we're seeing in just green right now.
Yeah, so maybe if you're doing mono green, this is something that you play just to
Yeah.
have some draw.
This also kind of feels like a desperation move where you're like, I don't have a lot, but if I can top deck a Swift, I can survive next turn, so I'm going to put 3 cores on this. And then your opponent has to really consider, if I swing wide but I top deck them some Swift cards, I could be in trouble.
Yeah, I think as the person sitting across the table though, that this does not really deter me from
No,
swinging.
I agree. But
um,
it
but
is a thing that could happen.
yeah, it could. I see what you're saying. It's definitely like a Hail Mary play.
Yep.
Like
This card might
I
become way more valuable than we think it is right now once we see set 2. But yeah, I agree that in just the starter deck, this is not going to see level 2.
I mean, yeah, if we see, I don't know what the future of the game looks like. I'm not a fortune teller. If we see that like life gain, like maybe the cadence of the game shifts at some point. Like you take a lot of damage, but you're also gaining lots of life, like left and right.
Right.
Like if the game shifts in that way, like
This
two,
card gets
three,
better.
4 sets from now, like yeah, then you're not really too afraid to take the damage. As of right now, though, you have 5 life, and it's pretty hard to gain life.
Yeah.
So, like trading that trade-off of like having 3 cores on this to gain to draw a card when you lose a life, it just feels like not great. But
Yeah, that is
I
tough.
could I could see this. Yeah, to your point, I could see this like you're playing it for the first ability, but you use the second ability in like the end game if like things are kind of going south for you.
Yep. Or if
Or
you just
if
have
the
an
meta,
abundance of cores,
yeah, yeah. If you, well, yeah, if
which could happen in
you,
a green-white matchup.
yeah, you have your Viridian Dragon Riders. They're all dead, but you have a bunch of cores.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, yeah. The level 1 ability, the during your attack step thing, is cool, and it definitely lends me to want to put this in a yellow support deck too. But even then, I'm probably not adding more than 1 or 2 copies. But it's there. This it could be a really great Nexus once set 2 drops.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, I'll move on to. I'll start with the lowest cost magic.
Yeah, that's cool.
So this one is called Multiple Cores, and it's a 2 cost with 1 reduction, and it's a burst. So the burst, it bursts when your opponent resolves a spirit's when summoned effect. Select one of your opponent's spirits and exhaust it. You may then pay this card's cost to activate its main effect. So that'd be 2 with a 1 cost reduction, which is select one of your spirits, place a core from the void onto it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna play this for the burst.
I'm telling you right now, I'm never putting this in burst.
Yeah, I think you just play it for 1 to ramp.
Yeah, it's almost a free card.
Yeah, yeah. You just pay 1 because you reduce it by 1, and then you just get a core.
Yep.
Um, and
This works with white also really, really well. With that Ice Princess that already, when someone brings a core for one of your when the spirit blocks cards, and then you drop multiple cores, you put another core from the void onto your Stream Otter or something like that.
yeah,
I think, and just for the green ramp itself, this is a no-brainer 4 copy put this card in.
Yeah, if you're trying to ramp, I think, yeah, you just play this.
I love this.
And if you do end up in a matchup where you're playing against someone who does have a lot of when summoned abilities, maybe you do set this, but I think most of the time you're not. But you
Yeah,
know,
like if you're playing
if you're
against
burst,
yellow, you
yeah, if
you
you're
you
playing
might
against
throw that
someone,
burst.
if you're playing against a deck where this is gonna trigger and you don't have like an ice shield in your burst, you just set
Yeah.
this and hope for the best, maybe.
I
But
will say, if
um,
you can get this burst to go off, that is a really swingy amount of stuff for really cheap, and especially in the beginning of the game. Like, damn, they drop a big
yeah,
heavy guy, you exhaust it, and then you get an extra core for your next turn to like load up the board and swing. Do it.
yeah. I mean, exhausting an opponent's spirit could like just totally throw off their whole plan for their turn.
Yeah, and it's a two
Um,
cost, so you can tutor this with your yellow cards.
there you go. Yeah. All right. What do you want to cover next?
I'll do a needle shot.
All right. Our porcupine makes another
Yes,
appearance.
I love that. Digimon did this too. In Digimon, like they have the creatures. Their nexuses, quote unquote, are the tamers, and then
Mhm.
their magic, quote unquote, are these option cards, and they usually show art of one of the creatures like doing the move. So I really like that they did that with this game too. So yeah, needle shot is a 3-cost magic. Can be reduced by 2, and main flash. Select one of your opponent's spirits and exhaust it. That's amazing.
Yeah, one cost exhaust something at
Yeah,
flash speed. It's fun. That's
that's
fun.
nuts. And if you're playing this in a yellow luster deck,
Oh man.
you can pull this back and do it again, and pull it back and do it again.
So you're saying that Porcupine and Dr. Duck are going to team up
I think
for
so.
some big plays.
And Dr. Duck is a level 2.
Oh man, the deck builds itself at this point. You know,
I'm
it's
telling
it's
you,
coming together.
I'm gonna be the world's best green yellow player. I cannot wait. And that's really, I mean, that's it for that card. That's just good. It's just value. That gets you out of a
Yeah,
lot.
I think if we're looking at this, you know, from a like a a card value situation, like I I think you got to play this in a way where it really gives you an advantage. Like when you exhaust something with this, it needs to be like a key moment that you're doing it like perfectly. Like I mean, you don't want to just like throw it out for no
Right,
reason. Like I
right.
mean, of course with luster,
Yeah, you can.
it, you can, but I think this is something maybe you hold on to for like the math adds up just right that if your opponent swings with everything, they win. And then you just say, nope, you don't.
Yeah, you can shut. I mean, it's a cheaper ice shield in some situations. You don't get the health back, obviously, but you can
Yeah.
essentially shut down a battle phase by exhausting one key card. You're totally right.
Yeah.
Needle shot
I can see
rules.
that. That's a cool card.
Yeah.
So this is the last one, Savage Power. And this is featuring our friend Capricorn.
Yes. Looking very
It's
good.
another 3 cost 2 reduction, and this one is also a burst.
And this is a
And
good burst.
so it triggers when your opponent destroys your spirit. Viridian Dragon Rider Rune. When he dies, you may summon a green card from your hand by using cores from your reserve to pay its cost and place cores onto it. You may then pay this card's cost to activate its flash effect. And the flash effect, it's a main flash. Select one spirit, it gains 2,000 BP during this turn. So,
Pretty standard.
yeah, this is not a card that you play for that. I mean, maybe you hold it in your hand
Just in
as
case,
like a
yeah.
little surprise, but yeah, that burst effect is pretty decent.
Yeah.
It allows you basically to give something swift that did not have it.
Yeah. It
Um,
has to be a green card, but still, that's great.
yeah. Do you think you play this in a deck where you're not doing mono green, or do you think that it's too specific to green, like it would only go in a green deck?
I think I would run less as a green splash.
Yeah.
definitely 4 full copies in mono green. But I like the look of this card. Again, it's a cheap one. It feels a little better in maybe the Luster decks where you're leaning into a little bit more of the flash window for your yellow spells, green spells, and then green creatures. And then obviously
Yeah,
it is a perfect pairing with the Dragon Rider.
there's definitely a cool green yellow luster build.
Yes, yes, there is, and I can't wait to explore that. When do you,
Yeah.
yeah, we gotta play some games soon.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah,
Um, I one last card I want to mention, just it's not actually, in the set, and unfortunately I don't think it's on the database,
right.
but it is a card um, that has been spoiled. It's the first Gundam card I think we've seen, which is Beam Rifle, which is apparently the alt art for a card called Thorn Prison.
Cool.
Um, but it's a 4 cost 2 reduction uh, magic with a main flash ability. Your opponent selects 2 of their refreshed spirits, exhaust them. So
Oh my
it's like a
gosh.
reverse. It's like a reverse, regain or suppression in a way. Like it's
Yeah.
like it has that like purple kind of effect where like your opponent is choosing which creatures or which spirits, but um, it's you're just exhausting so much stuff with green. And also this card, the alt art has RX-78 from Mobile Suit Gundam on it, like shooting the beam rifle, and it looks sick.
Nice.
So I am so excited for Gundam cards. Man, yeah, I'm probably gonna buy like way too many boxes trying to get the Gundam cards. I want to figure out how all of that works first before I,
Right. Before you
set myself up.
pre-order. Yeah. Put your
Yeah,
card
but
down on something.
yeah, because I might want to get them as singles, but honestly, if they're like super rare, like if they're super hard to get, they're like super rare level or something, like I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm gonna do, but I want 4 copies of
Yeah, you
each
need
of
to
them.
make
And
sure you
I'm
can get a playset.
Yeah, and I'm sure most other people will too, because Gundam is cool.
Gundam is badass.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, and that's honestly we're about at the runtime that we normally would be anyway. So this is that's perfect. We did it. That is all of the green cards that we have seen for sure. These are spoiled. That again, those are from the starter deck. So I'm personally just so excited to get another color in the game, to really start exploring multicolored decks in a very new way. I think just the addition of these 16 cards makes so many viable decks, and that's so exciting for a game like this. And it's something that I always get worried about in collectible card games. You never want it to just be the same 4 decks playing against each other in the top 32. You want some
Yeah.
variety, and I think that's exactly what green does. Is it adds a
This
lot of variety. We just looking at these cards, we were talking about like 6 different decks.
Yeah, there's so many decks I want to build. And you know, I've been pretty impressed with the meta for this game so far. Like I keep up with I watch a few YouTube videos every now and then of like, here are the top decks that just won this tournament. And it's like
Right.
I see all 4 colors represented.
Yep.
There are a couple decks like Pterosaurs and like white control or white aggro that I see like popping up again and again, but for the most part, like, I see like some purple decks that do pretty well, some yellow decks that do pretty well. Like, um, it's just awesome that the meta, even with just a single set, can be so varied. It's not like everyone's playing pterosaurs. Like,
Right.
there are a lot of people playing pterosaurs, but it's not like everyone is.
Right. I liken it to Marvel Snap, where it's like there are definitely archetypes in that game, but a lot of it really does come down to who's piloting it and knowing your
Hmm.
matchups. And just because you're slotting cards into a deck doesn't mean that they're going to do everything that it's doing for these Pro Tour players.
Yeah.
And so there is room to try other things too. Like you can net deck and you can do pretty well if you know how to play the deck, or you can just put stuff together. And I think that lends itself to limited formats, and then it also obviously lends itself to the competitive formats. It's a fun
Yeah.
game. If you're on the fence about getting into this game, I would just encourage you to just get into it. It's so good.
I mean, the second thing I would say is if you're on the fence about getting into this game, I don't know how you just listened to us talk about
That's
it
a
for an
good
hour.
point.
But
That's a really good point. They're like, I don't know what any of this means, but I'm
yeah.
excited that they're excited. If that's you, bless you. You're a cool person. Um, but yeah,
We were supposed to talk about Purple this week. I don't know when we're going to talk about Purple. It's spoiler season, so I
yeah,
feel like a lot of our episodes for a minute will probably be about that just because that's what's exciting. But
yeah. But that's
you know
definitely in the
what?
tank. We'll do our tier lists, or yeah, like the draft list for the other two colors eventually.
Yeah. But
But
I
yeah,
also I want to do something like that when we have the full new set. I want to do something like that with it
yes,
too. So, well, we got lots of content coming down the pipeline, I think.
yeah. And that brings us to the end of the show. Just want to thank you all if you made it this far, and remind you all that we are on YouTube, Absolute BSS Pod. And you can also send us hate mail, send us all your opinions on green. Tell us why we're trash plebeians who yellow green would never work for, and send that to absolutebsspod@gmail.com. And yeah, that's really it. We're gonna hopefully put up some more fun other videos on the channel, like some gameplay videos. Eric put up the unboxing for the first set. Make sure you check that out. That was a fun video. And yeah, just be on the lookout for more Absolute BSS content in the near future. Anything else you want to add there, Eric?
That covers it. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time on Absolute BSS Pod. Catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.